Have you ever been in a place where you're like, oh man, I wish I could generate more sales, but I don't have the self-confidence that I need in order to generate the sales? Well, if that's ever happened to you, this video is going to give you 4 simple questions that you can ask anytime you want before you go into any sales call to allow yourself to generate more sales through having additional self-confidence. What's happening, sales and sellers? I hope you're doing well today. It is Tuesday. We are back for another high ticket tune-up. Got a doozy of a question coming in from Melanie. Melanie fired off this one. She says this: Sean, how do I increase my confidence so I can generate more sales? Love the question. I think it's valid because most people are in their own heads way too much, right? So if you've ever been in your own head, drop a comment below like, or whatever you want to tell me, because I can tell you that I have been in my head too many times when I've gone into this, especially early in my selling career. I remember so many times that I would lose deals because I just wasn't confident. I couldn't walk into a room and just know that I was in the right place. And so it took me a long time and some self-development, some things to get through that. In that journey, one of the things I learned is there's just a couple of questions that you can actually ask yourself to grow through this entire issue. So if you are struggling with sales confidence because maybe you're going in and you're trying to lock bigger deals than you've ever gone before, or you're intimidated by having to sell to an entire cast of characters, or if you've just like, man, how do people make sales? Like if you're there, you might be there. I don't know. There's a lot of people that can be there. Well, this video is going to help you do that. And I'm going to share with you 4 simple tips or 4 questions that you're going to want to ask yourself before you go into any of these sales calls. Because when you ask yourself these questions before the call and you get solid answers, you're going to walk into the sales call and you're going to smash it every single time. So how do we generate more sales through gaining self-confidence? I believe the answer to this is prep. You have to be prepped before you walk into the conversation. Now, first of all, you got to be mentally tough. So if you need a little bit of mindset development work, let me know. I know a couple of wonderful people that are in that space that are really good at it. They can help you there. But once you get kind of over that and you say, hey, look, I'm the man, or I'm the woman, I'm going to go in, I'm going to get this done, then these 4 questions come into play. These are the most valuable questions. Let's start with number 1. Number 1 is this: what's the goal of the sales call for you? Now, this works in a lot of different ways. If it's a first sales call, think about like what would be the best outcome that you could ever have. Quick story here: when I was going through my sales training, my very first sales coach, he used to be a fighter pilot, and he would tell me, he said, when you're a fighter pilot, you need to have what we call option A, option B, and option C. And I said, okay, great. What is that option A, B, and C? And he said, before you go into a sales call, one of the things you need to understand is what's the best possible outcome that can come from this exact meeting. I mean, what's the goal for the call? If it happened, this would be an A+ home run call. B, what's most likely to happen? And then C, what's the thing that you probably don't want to have happen, or at least another alternative way to go around the back door? And when you have option A, B, and C, he said, when you're flying a fighter jet, you always shoot for option A, but most of the 95% of the time you end up going with option B just because nobody's absolutely perfect. So in your sales game, think about this. Like, what's the best total goal that you can bring from the meeting? What's most likely to happen that's going to come from the meeting? And then what's the alternative audible if you had to pull that? And when you write these answers down for every single sales call that you go into, guess what? Your mind's only going to be thinking about option A, option A, option A, option A, and you're going to shoot to not miss. You're going to shoot for the target, right? When you play golf, a lot of coaches in golf will tell you, don't think about the sand trap or the water. Think about the ball landing on the green and the flight the ball is going to take and the swing you have to make to get the ball on that flight path and how it lands. And you start thinking about those things, all of a sudden the water and the bunkers go miles away out of your mind. So same thing with a sales call, just like, what is the goal of the call for you? Secondly is this: what do I need to find out during the call, right? If this is a first call, you better understand there's a couple of things you need to get. In a first sales call, number 1 is you got to understand that they have the problem that you solve. That's it. It's simple, right? So we need to find that out. Secondly, we also need to know how can they afford what it is that you provide, a product or service. So we have to know that too. And then the other thing is, how do they make their buying decisions? When you know those 3 things in a first sales call, then you're set. If this is a second sales call, what do you need to find out during the call? Hopefully you found out those first couple of things in the first call. So now the second call is going to come back and it's going to talk about, okay, so how do we progress? How do we click the needle forward? How do we move the momentum? Who is the people that I need to get involved? Usually the second, the third, the fourth meetings are due to people not pulling out that information in the first call, so they have to get it in the second and the third, and it extends your sales cycle, meaning cold to close, and the process that you're using is kind of unpredictable. That's how I can tell when I'm speaking with somebody in the sales game and I ask them about their process. How many calls does it usually take to close a deal? What's the price points? And I can know very quickly if they have a really solid or robust selling system that they follow every single time or they don't. And so this question is important to understand, like, what do you need to know or find out to just push that needle forward for the deal to go through, right? Next question is this: what are my product strengths and weaknesses? When you get into a selling conversation, a lot of people teach to learn your product better than anything else on the market before you go out into the marketplace. Unfortunately, I don't think that's the best solution. So I would disagree with that. And what I would say is the best solution is just go start having the conversation to understand if people have the problem or not and what they've tried to do to solve it in the past. Just by having that part of the conversation, it's going to separate you as a sales professional from everybody else that you've ever talked with. And the prospect's going to feel more at home, more comfortable, and more confident working with you because they feel like you truly listen to them and you understand what it is that they're trying to solve. And then and only then do we look back into our arsenal and what our product and our service is and say, okay, this little package is going to smash the problem that you have. That's all you have to say. They don't need to know what exactly it is in the package or how it works. A lot of people say you got to give value on sales calls. The value is helping your prospect have clarity to move through their problem, and you're just a sounding board asking the right questions. And when you know they have the problem that you solve and you can say, look, I've got this product that smashes that every single time, you're almost about 95% of the way there. So just understanding the products and services that you have matching the problem that they have, that's all you have to do in the call. You don't have to understand every nook and cranny and detail about your product's strengths or weaknesses. It's very important to understand some of the weaknesses because when it goes into the next question, how am I different from the competition? This is another important question because you might run into somebody who's using your competition. And when you understand that, look, never bash competition. Always encourage other people. There's plenty of business. There's abundance in the world. There's more than one person that's probably doing the same thing that you are. And that's a good thing. If there was nobody, I would be way concerned. But if there's a couple of people doing the same thing that you are, then you're in good shape, right? So all we have to know is what's the angle that you solve the same problem from, because it's going to be different than your competition. And when you understand how you're different and you understand which products and weakness or strengths can solve the problem in one of the packages that you offer, and you know what you needed to find out during that call, and you understand the A, B, and C options of having the best call, look, that's all you need, because when you have these 4 questions, you are going to generate more sales simply because you just know more. And with that said, my friends, you've just been tuned up. It's been a good one today. I enjoyed this one. I love answering this question. So again, Melanie, I hope this one answers your question, how you can increase your confidence so you can generate more sales. Just ask these 4 questions before going into any sales call, and I assure you, you're going to close more deals. With that said, I look forward to seeing you tomorrow, and you've just been tuned up.